Hello, my name's Alexander White. Sometimes it can be really effective to crush the vocals in a track to make them sit amongst the music. This track that I'll use for a demo today is a mixed track called Coat of Arms by the band Upshot. The singer and writer is Joe Kelly, and he's kindly allowed me to use the track today. So let me play it for you, and then we'll dig into what I did to get this vocal tone, and you can see how effective it can be just to put a couple of compressors working really hard right on the vocal. So here we go. And the track carries on, staying pretty much at that kind of quite sort of pushed and heavy level. It's a wonderfully written piece of music, and Joe, honestly, he does such a good job of singing. He's so great. He does make my job really easy. So let's have a little look at the processing. We have, this is the channel right here, and just to give you the overview of what we're looking at, I've got a tape emulator, nothing in this console slot, followed by these plugins here. And the order that we go in is we've got the channel strip here, then we bounce over to the 1176, then we're making a quick stop off at a Nectar, which I think has got a tiny little bit of EQ. This is engaged, but it's not doing anything. So then finally we've got a delay, which is actually just set up as a tiny little bit of 125 millisecond slap at 1.2%. So I'm going to play it again, and we'll play it from the verse so we get straight into the vocals. And I'm going to, halfway through, switch off this processing. I'll leave the tape on, but this processing here, so you can hear the difference it makes when you remove the compressors. All right, let's have a listen.
Off the floor. Grab a hold of your pickaxe, sharpen like the turn of the screw.
So it makes a huge difference. Not only is the vocal louder, but it's also just so much more clumsy. You can really hear how it isn't going to be settled into the track. Even if we turned it down, it wouldn't settle in. You'd lose some bits, you'd hear some bits, and it wouldn't be a terribly nice experience for this particular piece of music, for this particular track. Every mix is different, but on this one, hitting it hard really helps add to that energy and keep the stability and, minimizing the dynamics. So let's have a look here with the plugins on. I'll play it again and just have a watch of what's happening on the meters. So we have this meter over here, which is the first compressor. I think on this channel strip, the only thing I'm really doing is taking off 3.5 decibels of 7.5K as a shelf. This compressor, you'll see what this does. We have a de-esser working over here, and this is just the delay. So let's have a listen and watch these 2 meters to see how much gain reduction we're actually getting. Okay, let's start by muting the last 3 plugins, and let's have a look at what this one does with just the first stage of compression. On this, I have a 6:1 ratio. The release is super fast at 100 milliseconds. The threshold obviously doesn't mean anything because you change that depending on how much compression you want. But there's no fast attack, no peak, so it's I think on this one, it's probably like 10 to 30 milliseconds, that kind of time. It's not terribly important because you set things by ear. You don't need to know the numbers in this particular case for this kind of vocal. So let's play it again, have a listen, and I'll drop this in and out a little bit so we can actually hear the contribution this is making to the vocal first. Here we go.
Come on, little brother, can't drag your heels anymore. Face up to your victims, pick your feet up off the floor. Grab a hold of your pickaxe, sharpen like the turn of the screw. Watch for the twitch of the feathers as their lips turn blacker than blue.
So that one's doing quite a lot of heavy lifting in terms of getting that vocal to sit there. This is why I love channel strips. You know, often on so many mixes, you could stop there because it's settled into the track, it's smooth, it sounds great. You could easily stop there, but because this is a rock track, I know from experience that the 1176 is a wonderful processor for adding what most people, I think, who love these things, and I love the 1176 style compressors, is they add like a spit and an aggression around the edges of the sound. So let's have a listen with this one on, and again I'll switch it on and off. See if you can hear that little bit of spit, that little bit of T's and S's being a little bit sharper. Here we go.
Come on, little brother, can't drag your heels anymore. Face up to your victims, pick your feet up off the floor. Grab a hold of your pickaxe, sharpen like the turn of the screw.
So it blends it in even more, it makes it amongst the music, and yet we can still hear all the words. You're not losing any of the words or the melody. It's still exciting in terms of a rock mix. Depends on what kind of mix you're making. It's not the right choice for every mix, but I think this really sounds cool here. So let's play it again.
Come on, little brother. Come on, little brother.
Listen to the words "come on little brother" and listen to any of the kind of noises, and you'll hear how that 1176 just makes them sound a little bit aggressive. Here we go.
Come on, little brother, can't. Come on, little brother. Come on, little brother. Come on, little brother.
Especially the k sounds just a little bit more exciting and energetic. And you know, all this adds up as you're doing your mix. When you put these extra little things in, it all adds up to make that energy. The de-esser, I'm quite sure you're not going to hear very much of it at all. It's only doing a few decibels. We'll switch it in and out just for fun, just to see.
Come on, little brother, can't drag your heels anymore. Face up to your victims, pick your feet up off the floor.
Okay, face up to your victims. Let's see when we switch this off and play that again. See if we particularly notice the words face and the F sounds on it.
Come on, little brother, can't drag your heels anymore. Face up to your victims, pick your feet up off the floor. Come on, little brother, can't drag your heels anymore. Face up to your victims.
When you hear face up to your victims, if we just head to that little line,
Face up to your victims.
and I'm going to just drop this out and see if you can hear how the, sibilant sounds jump out more.
Face up to your victims. Face up to your victims. Face up to your. Face up to your.
Yeah, you can hear it just, again, helps just control that, make it less of something that jumps out of the mix in a slightly unpleasant way, you know. Then finally, this one, I really don't know if you'll hear this at all. This is one of those super subtle things where it makes a difference when you've added it up across quite a few different places, a few different instruments, and it all sort of comes together as one big whole with lots of little play. I'll use this sort of process in quite a few different locations in the mix on different instruments. This is a small one, but let's listen anyway.
Face up to your victim.
We'll go back to the top of the verse.
Come on, little brother, you can't drag your heels anymore. Come on, little brother, you can't drag your heels anymore. Come on, little brother, you can't drag your heels anymore.
It's really subtle. I think what it does is it smooths things out a little bit. So one final thing to do, I think, which is really interesting, is let's go solo and let's switch these plugins on and off again in solo so you can hear what's actually happening without all the music. You know, whilst you must always make decisions in the mix, it's still helpful to know what's happening in solo, especially from an understanding how these processes are interacting with each other sort of a way. So here we go.
Come on, little brother, you can't drag your heels anymore. Come on, little brother, you can't drag your heels anymore.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The vocal goes from being something that sounds, you know, quite mixed and, you know, like a tight, focused vocal. And you can almost hear the fact that you can see the vocalist stood at the microphone in the room. There's something very real about it, which for this track in this context doesn't sound as good. Let's just listen one more time.
Come on, little brother, you can't drag your heels anymore. Come on, little brother, you can't drag your heels anymore.
So that's really cool. Let me turn them back on so I don't leave them off and forget about them, which entirely might happen. And let's just listen to it one more time from the top so you can sort of see, you know, with sort of a bit of insight now into what's going on, how it's all working. So here we go.
Come on, little brother, you can't drag your heels anymore. Face up to your victims, pick your feet up off the floor. Grab a hold of your pickaxe, sharpen like the turn of the screw. Watch for the twitch of the feathers as their lips turn blacker than blue.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was a fun one. I hope you can see that sometimes really crushing a vocal can be just the right tone and texture, depending on the kind of track that you're trying to make. Like anything, you can go in a million different directions and you could mix this track in a million different ways, but this one is a really cool presentation of Joe's song. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Of course, I can't tell you how much of a kick I get out of seeing the like and subscribes come up. It makes me feel really good. So if you would like and subscribe, it means so much. And I will see you on a video very soon.